Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhanaktu Saviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. There's something about the mind going to pieces. Huh? We did before, in the last session. So I must start with that and then go to the text. In the south of India there is a place called Thiruvananthapuram. Ramana Maharshi used to live there. Now also people go because they like to go round and round the hill and get dizzy. Ramana Maharshi used to live there. So when I went here, Ramana Maharshi was not there. Physically gone. But there was a very strange looking man living there. He first lived under the chariot, wooden chariot, which took the deity from the Thiruvananthapuram temple around. So he was living under that, and then somebody built him a little place. So he was staying in that place. His name was Ram Surat Kumar. Is this relevant to the Upanishad? Yes. And he used to be a professor in BH Benares Hindu University, and then he left everything and came off. And he didn't talk much, he always said Ram Ram. And he lived in that small kuti. That's when I visited him for the first time. Actually, he was the first man to call me M. Because when I went, let me explain, he used to be a short, stocky guy. When I met him, he was probably as old as I am now. He used to wear a peculiar cap sometimes, or a cloth, and wear an old coat, the western coat, which had never seen a dry cleaner or a washing machine for ages. And he always carried a small fan. It was very hot out there. So. If you live long in Thiruvananthapuram, everybody would wish to have moksha because it's so hot. Get out of So he had this little fan in his hand. We had a palm leaf. So the scene when I went in was he was sitting there, and there were one more person, two more people, and there was one person who is related to Ramana Maharshi, his nephew or somebody. So as soon as he saw me, he suddenly said, "Oh, M, Madanapalli. So he could only talk in Hindi, and because he was in the south, nobody understood Hindi, he spoke English. So he said, come, sit down, baitho. So I am sitting here, somebody here, and one more person. There's a queue of people coming and doing this or touching his feet and going, mostly boys who are going to write the exams. Good luck, sir. Ram Ram. Sometimes hit them on. Well, this was the scene. So I was sitting there, and there was a line of people wanting to come there, and There was I think he was an industrialist from the south, who was standing in the line. The industrialist had an assistant who held an umbrella for him because it was hot. So our man ignored him for a long time. Finally, he said, "Come." He went. Now this guy looked around and he thought he will impress everybody. I think he was a big industrialist. So he said, "What do you want?" He said, "I want nothing. No. I want peace of mind. I don't want anything. He was behaving like Nachiketa in a way. He said, I want peace of mind." He started laughing. You know the belly laugh that happens? Small kids sometimes do that, or people in the asylum. It's like it rolls up from here, belly laugh. So he laughed loudly, and fortunately or unfortunately, I was sitting next to him, so I got a nice slap, which I remembered for 3 days because my shoulder was gone. His feet, I had started laughing hard. In between the peals of laughter, he said, "This guy wants peace of mind from somebody whose mind has gone to pieces." So, if real peace needs to come, then the mind has to go to pieces. We do not imitate or behave like him, but you know what I mean. Anyway, get back to the text. Imagine tomorrow somebody tying a cloth, wearing an old coat and saying, "My mind has gone." No, that would be an imitation. So, you know what happened before this. Nachiketa, the young boy, an introduction for some people who are not here. Nachiketa, a young boy whose father was a great rishi, Vajashravasa. Rishi performed a sacrifice to reach the state called Vishwajit, winning the universe. And he was, after the sacrifice was over, he was gifting whatever was required to the people who came to perform the ritual ceremony. And this little boy of 8 saw that his father was gifting cows which had no milk, blind, lame, useless things to the people who came to perform the ceremony. So it occurred to him, what is the meaning of a sacrifice this way? So you're giving away things which are useless, which are not required. So, in his wanting to be smart, or maybe he was serious, he asked his father, "I am your dearest and nearest possession. Who will you give me to?" And the story is in the Upanishad that the rishi, Vajashravasa said, "I give you away to death." They say in anger, but anyway, he said, abruptly, "I will give you away to death." And because he was already a powerful man, Nachiketa died. And he went to the land of the king of death, Yama, the king of death. And Yama is the only rule that happens everywhere regularly. That's why it's called Yama. He went to him And Yama, meanwhile, being a surprise development, had gone somewhere else to get another soul. He came back after 3 days. And he found Nachiketa waiting in his house for 3 days. And he felt very bad. He said, I haven't given him food, I haven't given him water, I haven't looked after my guest, and that too. A young guest with a glowing face, a brahmachari, probably searching for the truth, which is a great thing. So first he says, the Lord of Death, forgive me. I didn't look after you. And he says, to compensate for that, ask me, you waited for 3 days, 3 gifts, 3 boons, and I will give them to you. So the first boon, the first gift that Nachiketa does, is very simple. When I go back, may my father not be upset or angry. May he accept me back and recognize me and so on. We discussed that a little bit elaborately, but this is enough. Second, Nachiketa says, I've heard that there is a heaven where people go after death and enjoy the fruits of their good karmas, where death does not come for a long time. Then, of course, they come back to the earth because there are still desires. Teach me how one can reach that heaven. So, he gives him an instruction, also tells him that that heaven that you seek is in your own heart, hidden in your own heart. Not an external position, but in your heart, the secret of your heart. And if you find that, then you enjoy and have no fear. Granted. Then Nachiketa, Yama also says, because you are a wonderful guy, I am going to give you one more boon, but like a bonus, one more gift, which is that this particular practice by which you understand the state of heaven will in future be called as the Nachiketa sacrifice, or the Nachiketa fire, the fire of an ardent desire to reach that place. And then Nachiketa asks him for the third gift. The third gift, says Yama, some say that when the body is dead, everything is over. Some say, so you can imagine even 2000 years or more before this came into being, the Upanishad, there were a set of people who thought everything is over when the body is dead. Nothing new. And some say that there is something remaining. Teach me how to find that in me which is never born and therefore cannot die. Anything that is born has to die, which is immortal. Teach me how to understand that. Where do I find that? Yama says, ask me for anything other than that. Leave me, please let me. I had to keep my promise, let me free from this promise. Even the gods of old did not know about this properly. They had doubts. Don't ask me. I will give you everything that you want. Wealth. In fact, he even tempts him with dancing girls and musicians and elephants and being the king of all the 3 worlds and things like that. I give you any of these things, but don't ask me for this. Nachiketa says, if it's so difficult that you yourself find it difficult to give it to me, I don't want anything else, I just want that. Please give it to me. Yama, figuring out that there is no way to escape from this, agrees, which means he's tested him enough to figure out that he is so sincere, he is not satisfied with anything else except that which is the essence of being. Let us sleep. Sushupti. Give it to me. So he starts teaching him, saying that I think you are fit to learn this because I gave you everything you want, unconditioned wealth, yeah, everything you don't want it. Yes, so you are sincere. So the corollary to this is such a sincere person finds it. So now begins the teaching. Now Yama doesn't directly tell him what it is, but goes through a certain process so that he can find out for himself what it is. Yama says, there are two things in this world that we face when we live in this world. One, that which is good, and the other is that which is pleasant. All of us live in this world. There is something that is pleasant and something that is good. These two blind a human being. Out of these two, it's well for one who takes hold of the good. If he chooses the pleasant instead, he fails in his aim of finding the truth. The thing is, what is good may not always be pleasant. And what is pleasant may not always be good. There is something which is good, and in the end, the most pleasant thing that you can have, but not in the beginning. This is the truth. But usually we choose the pleasant. And don't worry so much about the good, because we are interested in temporary satisfaction. So Yama says to Nachiketas, choose between the two. That which is, both are offered to us in this world. The good and the pleasant. Don't go after the pleasant, but look for the good. When you say good, here it means good qualities, good thoughts, and there is no such expression in English, but the goodest thing, the best, is the search for the truth, seeking for the truth, for your own essence which is inside your heart, as Yama explained before, your true essence which is neither born and therefore cannot die. This is the best, of course. But in this process, even if a practice or the way of life that you lead is creating problems for you and they are not pleasant, don't discard them because you're looking for the truth. And in this path, you're looking for the truth and not for the pleasant. Pleasant is available to us everywhere. Even in the so-called spiritual world, pleasant is available. Sometimes we are satisfied with our mind's images and enjoy them. Fine, you can, but it's still pleasure. So look for the good. What is this? Why does the teaching start? Because Yama has tested Nachiketas and decided now I should teach him how to go about this. Both the good and the pleasant approach a person. The wise one, pondering over them, discriminates Should I take this? Should I not? The wise choose the good in preference to the pleasant. The simple-minded, for the sake of worldly well-being, prefer the pleasant. But you, Nachiketa, you have rejected the pleasant after examining it. The desires that are pleasant and seem to be pleasing, I offered you. Dancing girls, music, everything, but you're not interested in that. You have rejected it. You have not taken also the way of wealth, where many mortals sink to ruin. I shouldn't say this in Switzerland. Even if I go to India and say, I went to Switzerland, they suspect I must be having some money stacked here. So, Nachiketas, thou hast not taken to the way of wealth, where many mortals sink to ruin. Now this teaching seems severe, right? But truth is severe. Many people have discussed this matter in ancient times. I'm not saying that you need what you need, that's a different matter. But this too much attachment to wealth doesn't allow one to move towards the other, full freedom. Which is why in ancient times some people gave up everything and went to the forest. You can't do that, of course, but keep that thought that too many distractions. And when there is wealth, the distractions increase. I understand it's a good idea to know the weather and so on, and sometimes have a little entertainment, but then first the TV is this, then it grows, then the whole wall is the TV. And me, I become the wall. So it has a tendency to attract and hold on and increase. But it starts in a small way. Some other person said something very severe, difficult, but it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle and then for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Somebody said this. But then all churches are built with money. As are temples, of course. So, but then this is the Lord of Death, Yama. So he is being very clear and perfect and doesn't want to hide behind any pretensions. So he said, anyway, Nachiketas, there is a chance because you have rejected that and you are looking only for the truth. Widely apart and leading to divergent ways, divergent ends, are what is known as ignorance and what is known as wisdom. I know that you are looking for wisdom and not for ignorance, for you rejected all that I offered you and said, I am interested only in that. You did not get distracted, so I shall tell you. Then there is a beautiful statement. This is the 5th sloka, this part. vidyayam antare vartamanaha swayam dhira panditam manyamanaha dandramyamanaha pariyanti mudha antainaiva niyamanaya tandaha. Abiding in the midst of ignorance, wise in their own self-esteem, scholars who think themselves to be learned, fools treading a tortuous path, go about like blind men leading the blind. So if you thought blind leading the blind is from Shakespeare, this is much older, please. People who study, our Pandits, who have all the Vedas by heart, who had all the mantras by heart, who think because they know all this, they are wise. When they lead, it's like the blind leading the blind. Says the Upanishad, not me. I don't want to call anybody fools. Upanishad says mudha, fool. So, then what is the use of study? What is the use of Upanishad? Because if it is not read, you wouldn't know this. Would you? I don't know, somebody might. I'm sure there are wise people here. What lies beyond the ordinary world shines not to the simple-minded. Careless, deluded by the glamour of wealth, thinking only this world exists, there is no other, they fall again and again to my power. Death speaking, Lord of Death. So then what is it that you will do? He who cannot even be heard of by many. He who cannot even be heard of by many, whom many hearing do not know. Wondrous is he who can teach about him, and skillful is one who finds him. And wondrous is he who knows, even when instructed by the wise. Sometimes even I get frustrated teaching them. He who cannot even be heard of by many. You think I'm concocting? Shravana api bahuvir yona labhya. He who cannot even be heard of by many, whom many even hearing do not know. Shravananto api bhavo yamna vidhu, still do not know. Wondrous is he, ascharyo vakta. Wondrous is he who can teach this or even try to teach. Skillful is he who finds it, even if it is being taught by the wise. You have to look at this statement very carefully. Taught by an inferior man. When they say man here, please understand as human being, okay? Taught by an inferior man, he cannot truly be understood, as he is thought of in many ways, unless taught by one who knows him as himself. There is no going thither, for it is inconceivable, being subtler than the subtle. Now I am going to stop a little bit here. not because I'm tired of teaching. Okay. The idea that Upanishad teaches, we will go to another Upanishad now to explain, to comment on this. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll do that. The other Upanishad. There's one very short Upanishad. This is not very short. There's a short Upanishad called... No, I'm not talking about Ishavasya Upanishad. Slightly bigger, but not the shortest. Andrine vaniyamana yatandaha. Ishavasya Upanishad. Now the Upanishad begins like this. Ishavashyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita mahagridha kasya siddhanam. That means that supreme reality pervades everything here. There is no place where it is not. It pervades everything here. In all the things that move, it is the center. The Jagat, the word Jagat in Sanskrit, which is applied for the world, comes from the word Jagatyam, which means that which moves. And if you look, there is nothing that doesn't move on this earth. Everything moves. Including what you think is an inanimate. It moves. You don't see it, of course. Why? Well, what about the little particles inside? They're in constant motion. Everything moves. Day moves into the night. Night moves into the day. The earth moves. The whole stellar system moves. Day moves into night and vice versa. There's nothing that doesn't move. And what about the mind? Do I have to tell you it moves? It's always moving. Actually, the solution is to, if it can shut up, but it doesn't. It moves, chatters, moves. Now, in the midst of all this, there must be a center from which movement takes place. When something moves, there's an axis in the middle. The center is like the center of a hurricane, for instance. This whole thing goes, a whirlwind. In the middle, there's a point called the eye of the cyclone, where it is a vacuum, complete quietness. It is into this that everything is sucked in. So Ishavasya Upanishad says, that supreme reality pervades everything here. Everything that moves means everything. Because there is nothing that doesn't move. Tena tyaktena bhunjita mahagridha. This I will explain tomorrow when we do the Upanishad, the next part. I'm just giving you an example, saying that many Upanishads discuss this matter, that the truth that you seek, or the reality that you seek, as opposed to what one thinks is real, is all pervading, is everywhere. Now, if it is everywhere, or compare it with something which is not everywhere. You are here, Gantavya is here, and if I have to reach him, I have to go towards him, right? Yeah. You are here, and if I want to reach you, I need to go towards you. Linear movement. When something is everywhere, how do you go there? If something is there and I'm here, then I go. When it is here, where do I go? When all going stops, it is there. When all moving stops, when all reaching stops, when all... It's not like a three-dimensional object which is there and you go towards it. It's everywhere. So when all movement towards stops. I think you start teaching tomorrow. I'm joking. Even if you theoretically get the idea, it's wonderful that you're not reaching out anywhere, you're still, because it is here, it's not there. In fact, the Upanishad also tries to explain it using contradictions. It says, tad dure, tad vatantike, it's far and yet it is so near. Now this cannot be a material object. It's either here or it is far. So when the mind settles down, gives up all props and does not reach out, then it is, we are afraid of doing that because we think that if suddenly nothing is left, we're descending into an abyss which is so deep. But it's wonderful. It's rather difficult to throw the props. I'm talking about mind props, no? So anyway, I'm having difficulties trying to teach, and the Upanishad is saying exactly that. I think I'm an inferior man, which is why I can't teach. Taught by an inferior man, he cannot be truly understood unless taught by one who knows him as himself. There is no going towards it, because it is inconceivable and subtler than the subtlest. Then the next one is real short. Naisha tarke namatir apaneya. Not by reasoning is this apprehension possible, attainable. Not by reasoning is this apprehension attainable. But dearest, taught by another who has understood, it is well understood. That means simply yourself, you may not be able to think it out, but when somebody who has touched it tries to understand, then perhaps you will grasp it. But I think, Nachiketa, you have found it. Hold on to it. I wish, says Yama, there were more inquirers like you. So the question is, the Upanishad says, even when one who tries to teach, the best teacher, still it may not be understood, even if one tries. The idea here is simple. It's not something which is a linear process, 1, 2, 3, no. It's a process of immediate understanding. There is a particular section of Buddhist teaching which is called the Dzogchen. Now, Dzogchen is an ancient teaching brought by Padmasambhava into Tibet. Dzogchen actually means immediate understanding, immediate realization. There are a couple of stories, narratives from the Dzogchen system which could be useful here to understand what the Upanishad is trying to say. Let me explain one story. There was a Dzogchen teacher and a disciple who lived with him. I'm using Dzogchen because I can also say that Maheswarnath Babaji and me, but then you'll think I'm trying to promote my Dzogchen. A Dzogchen teacher and his disciple were walking along. The teacher was on the horse and the student was walking beside him. So the student said to him, as he said for many days, "Sir, I have been with you for 13 years. You have taught many things, but nothing has happened to me. I haven't experienced anything. Well, I can explain to you what the Bodhisattva felt, which is written in the text, but I don't know. So what is this that is happening to me? Am I wasting my time?" So, as they were passing, there was a hill up there. So the master said to the disciple, "See the hill there?" "Yes, sir." "Can you see something on top?" "I see a single tree on the top of the hill." "Okay." He said, "No. Behind my horse, I have a big sack, a cloth, S-A-C-K, sack. Take it with you. Go and collect all the stones that are lying there. Come in. Fill the bag with it so that it's really, really full and tight." The disciple, being accustomed to the eccentricities of a Zen master, a Zen master, he did exactly as he was asked to do. So now, lift it and put it on your back. "Yes, sir." "Done." "Very heavy. Can't even stand." Climb up the hill and reach to the top under the tree. Started climbing. Went to the top. It's too much even to hold it for a minute. He's wondering when the master is going to relieve him. The master comes up on the horse, tuck, tuck, tuck. And he says, "Throw it down." Throws it down, goes and sits under the tree, heaves a sigh of relief. He says, "Master, I got it." So sometimes knowledge can also be a burden, which we lug around everywhere. Can be Hebrew, Sanskrit, it doesn't matter what. At some point, one needs to dump it. If you dump it, then you're free. Since I referred to Thiruvananthapuram, you know that Ramana Maharshi used to live in Thiruvananthapuram. And contemporary times, sometimes I have no doubt that he was somebody who had touched something. Afraid of even calling it the truth, but something. And the early days used to live up in the cave across the road, in a little cave. Somebody used to bring food for him. Most of the time he was absorbed in himself or in this, we can't say anything. It was much later that he crossed the road and came and then the circus started. Before that he used to sit in the cave up there. So there was at that time in the south of India a great scholar called Kavyakanta Ganapati Shastri. Name Kavyakanta means jewel among the poets. He was a man who had read everything on the subject of spirituality. Nothing he had not read. Upanishad, Vedas, Agamas, Sri Vidya. I get suddenly shocked sometimes, no? Somebody stopped me at the airport the other day and said, "Hey, can you teach me Sri Vidya?" So, he knew everything. He had studied everything, including the Buddhist Shastras, Prajna Paramita. There was nothing he had not studied on the subject, and he had been meditating for many, many years. But he felt that there was some little barrier that wouldn't allow him to break free and raise the truth. And he was searching for people to figure out what to do. So in his wanderings he went to Thiruvananthapuram. Somebody told him, he was not famous or well known at that time, up on top of the hill there is a guy sitting there. Maybe you could go and try. We don't know. Go. He looks like a Maharishi to us. So he went up and he found a almost nondescript human being sitting there. Legs folded, no Padmasana, nothing, just. And his eyes were open and he was looking somewhere far into the space. So he went and sat in front of him. He wouldn't look at him. He was not looking at him. He was looking somewhere. And then, after a long time, an hour or so, sitting there waiting patiently, this you must give it to him. Anybody else would have got fed up and said, "Okay, let's go. Nothing is going to happen." He sat. And then Maharshi's eyes suddenly narrowed down and looked at him. And he raised his hand and did this, which is a very common gesture, which means what? What do you want? He didn't speak, he hardly spoke. Here we are speaking day in and day night. Day. Anyway, he did this. This guy was just waiting for the cue, the signal to say something. So he started. It was like a verbal diarrhea. He went home. I have done this, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this. No, this. Okay. Then he stopped and said, "Oh, what else should I do? There's a barrier. I can't go beyond that. I've done everything. Yes, I know the Upanishads. But what do I do now?" Maharshi had a very mild smile on his face and he said in Tamil, "Koncha neram summa irukka mudiyuma? Can you shut up for a minute? Can you keep quiet for a minute?" And the man, being a really serious seeker and a wise man, immediately got it. Somebody else might have thought that he's asking him to shut up. When he said, "Can you shut up?" he shut up the mind. So this is called the Shruti, that comes from someone who has understood And when the mind is ready for it, the Shruti, the moment it falls, it is understood. Till then, you can say 100 times, but it will not register. Because the soil is not properly tilled. One is not ready to receive. When the Shruti, therefore the Mahavakyas of the Vedas, of the Upanishads, of the Vedas, are all called Shruti. One can keep saying 1000 times, Aham Brahmasmi, nothing will happen. I am Atma Brahman, nothing will happen. But when one is ready, one knows that all these structures are useless and there is only that reality which is a pure witness, then it becomes. Since we are on the subject, has anybody seen a picture of Ramana Maharshi with eyes closed? If you have, please show me or send me by email. Why? Because there was no point, because there was nothing in and out was the same point. No going in or coming out. Yeah, in the beginning, one needs to go in. When what one seeks is touched, then one sees that what is in is also what is out. There is no difference. Sorry for these breaks, because I don't know otherwise how to go about this. Okay. What was the last one? Taught by an inferior man like him, he cannot truly be understood. He didn't say him, I'm saying. As he is thought of in many ways, understood by one who knows him as himself, as his own self. There is no going thither, for it is inconceivable being subtler than the subtle. Because it's not a thing which can be imagined. It's a thing when all imagination is over and done with. All sankalpas are put to rest. The mind is in complete quietness. Then there is no mind. There is only the self. In the yogic theory, it's like Kaivalya. It's when there is only the pure Purusha. How do you start? Chitta vritti nirodha. By removing all the, being free of all the conditionings of the mind, being free of all the distractions of the mind, being free of all the conflicts in the mind. When this happens, then the mind becomes absolutely quiet. Now that mind is supposed to be in a term used as samadhi. Samadhi. Thought has become sama. In that, then the mind as an individual entity does not exist. It's a reflection of the Purusha. Now the Purusha in yogic terms is Purusha. In Vedantic terms, it is the Brahman. Also there is this constant fight going on between yogis and the Vedantics, which is stupid actually. If anybody wants to know how both are connected, you should try and read. Anyway you read books, right? You're not like me. So read books. There is a book called, written by Sadashiva Brahmendra, Yoga Sudhakara. Beautiful book, which kind of bridges the practices of yoga with Vedanta. Yoga Sudhakara. The great Sadashiva Brahmendra, whose song was recorded and you all heard it, Pibore Ramarasa. Now, not by reasoning is this apprehension attainable. What he means by reason here is through inductive reasoning. There, so I'm going there. How to get there? Rather, when it is everywhere, all getting, going or moving is stopped. By normal process of reasoning, it's not attainable. But dearest, taught by another, it is well understood. Taught by another who understands, it is well understood. Now you have attained it, obtained it, so hold fast to the truth. May we find more seekers like Nachiketas. Having seen the fulfillment of all desire, which is the support of the world, the endless fruit of all the ceremonies performed, the rites, you have reached the other shore where there is no fear, nor is there the greatness of fame, the far stretching the foundation. O Nachiketas, hold on steadily to this. Don't let go of this. The next line is Tam Durdasham Gudham, realizing through self-contemplation that primal being, difficult to be seen, deeply hidden, set in the cave of the heart, dwelling in the deep. The wise leave behind both joy and sorrow. Realizing through self-contemplation that primal being, difficult to be seen, deeply hidden, set in the cave of the heart, dwelling in the deep, the wise one leaves behind both joy and sorrow. Both joy and sorrow, the ordinary joy and sorrow. But reaching the depths of that, there is a joy which is indescribable, but it is not of the senses, something else. In fact, it is this joy that we all seek in some way in this life also. Because deep down the mind knows that there is a reservoir of joy in us, which is not dependent on any external circumstances or on your sense organs. The mind knows unconsciously, subconsciously, that there is in all of us, in the depths of our being, core of our being, a joy that is tremendous, which is not dependent on outside joy or sorrow. So outside joy is dependent on objects or situations. Sorrow also is dependent on situations and outside influences. But this, which is at the depth of our being, is always joyous, independent of anything from outside. Therefore, the Vedas and the Upanishads call it Satchidananda. Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Ananda means happiness, bliss. And we believe, some of us believe, that all the happiness that we search for in the world is an unconscious, subconscious search for that happiness which is inside. We think we could reach there through this or through that or through something else. So, having understood the futility of it, when the mind becomes silent and retires, then it touches something which is the essence, which it is actually seeking, although one likes to think it's seeking it outside. What it's seeking outside is actually what is inside. What happens even when you suppose I seek something, like I say that I need a house like this, the outside world, not Brahman. And then I find the house, and then I do all the interiors required for that, and I say, no, the chair must be this way, and the table must be here, and so on and so forth. And I also even decide sometimes what kind of a knob should be fitted on the flush, and so on. And then finally, I go and sit in the house, and I say, now, aha, so beautiful. That happiness is not coming when you're doing this. It comes when it is done. Right? And then I'm happy for some time, until I go to somebody's house and find a different knob in the flush. But we are talking, the Rishi here is talking about something which is always there, no matter what the knob is. I'm not saying you shouldn't do all this. While you are in this world doing all this, you should understand how it is endless. You keep on. And the fact that when you have done what you think you should do, you're happy, is because you have touched now that is always there as happiness. Why? Because now the mind is not moving. It stopped for the time being, and therefore I'm enjoying. Yes, now you should do the most important thing, which is have a cup of tea.